Deepak, Prasad, Abhinav, all have been into different domains of industries, as well as I would say most of you deal with the not only with the internal stakeholders a lot, but also a lot with the customers or the data of various other customers, as well as a lot of cloud journey involved into it. I am sure you got a lot of experience and insights to talk about it. So we'll have more of a free flow discussion. Sorry, I guess my video is not on. So sorry.
Prasad, if you could turn on your video as well, please. Yeah.
So what we can do is we can have a free flow discussion. I will just have questions related to you, and wherever you feel pitch in, please feel free to proceed. So as Venkatesh also recently just now mentioned about the journey of cloud and how the digital transformation of everyone has got accelerated, and it's true for us also, wherein something which was planned for 2022 or 23 has been brought into 21 for all the right reasons. So, and we also deal with a lot of information, data, and those. And Abhinav, I'm sure with your portfolio, you deal with a lot of information, a lot of data, whether it's in transit or whether it's kind of already available with you, and with the plenty of information. So, how do you manage the security of it, and what are the risks and challenges around it?
Right. Thank you so much. Glad to be here in this session. Like you mentioned, we are in the healthcare technology domain, and so we invariably end up dealing with a lot of highly sensitive information. And in order to make sure that the sensitive information goes to only the people who generally need to be seeing that information, one needs to have a zero trust approach. By zero trust approach, what I mean is that not only you do not trust people outside of your ecosystem, people who are outside of your network boundaries, outside of your systems, you also actually do not trust people within the system. If you look at the last decade or so, a lot of the major leaks have obviously happened because there were targeted attacks from external sponsors on various companies, but there were also a ton of internal leakages. Now, when you're looking at dealing with this kind of sensitive information, you cannot assume that within even your own ecosystem, in your trusted boundaries, you can freely and easily share data across the different entities that exist within the ecosystem. So it is imperative that not only you keep the information that you generate, so you generate a ton of data. Not only you get data from your customers and your partners, the data that is provided as is, but you also generate inferences based on the data that you've received. And it is imperative that none of this information is just made freely available to anyone and everyone, even within your ecosystem. So while the data is in transit, which means that when it is moving from one system to another over even your own network, you need to make sure that it is going over secure protocols so that nobody can snoop in on this data. Of course, while at rest, this is something that I'm sure people have been doing for decades now. While at rest, most people encrypt data, but it's equally important that when the data is in transit, you assume a zero trust approach and ensure that the data moving between point A to point B, even within your own networks. Of course, when it is traveling outside of your network, you have to encrypt it. But even within your own network, you use maybe standard protocols like TLS or SSL, etc. Right? Those standard protocols. Or the best thing would be to build your own custom protocol. So, for instance, we actually leverage a few custom protocols for encryption of data while at rest and in transit. But all of these things cannot be thought of as an afterthought. So when you're building your systems, when you're designing your applications, when you're designing the architecture of your entire network and systems, this has to be a first-class citizen. The security of your data at rest and in transit has to be one of your key requirements when you are actually architecting your network infrastructure, when you're architecting your application. So basically, to quickly summarize, do not trust people within or outside. It's not a judgment on the people as such. It's just how you need to think about it, right? Because if, let's say, your org is like 20,000 people, you just need one bad egg. It's not casting doubt on the remaining 99% of the people. It's just that one person can really make things really bad for you. And so zero trust approach, use custom encryption wherever possible, but if not custom encryption, use at least the standard encryption like TLS, standard protocols, etc., to exchange data between your own entities. And obviously make sure that your data is stored in encrypted form, and you have clear protocols on how the keys of encryption, etc., are to be maintained. So these are some of the things that we follow. These are some of the things that I would highly recommend people who are undertaking these kind of journeys to consider as well.
Yeah, thanks, Abhinav. So I'll come to Deepak first, and then Prasad, maybe for the same point. Is Abhinav touched a very important point of a lot of leakage happening within the organization as well. Okay, intentionally and unintentionally, what could be the reasons? But that is one of the key reason also wherein we have seen a lot of security leaks and those. And Deepak, you be also coming into something wherein a lot of very confidential, a lot of information is there within system, and whether it's related to internal stakeholders or the customers. So I just would like to understand how effective you create a user access management and those privilege role access. How do you kind of control those, and how, what are the recommendations for the best practices for it?
Thanks, Jay. Talking about user access management, previously we are doing user access management through AD and IAM roles on cloud. But currently now we are managing total user access roles based on PAM, Privileged Access Management System. So we have already implemented Privileged Access Management System throughout our organization. And all the privileges are given as per their roles, defined roles and groups. So no person can log in if my shift is from 10 to 7 and I am an operations guy. So if I try to log in after my shift timings, alert will be sent to his reporting manager that this person was supposed to log in from 10 to 7 only. And after that, if he's login at 11 o'clock in the night, so alert will go to his manager, and if his manager can see his session, what he is doing at that time when it is not allowed. And if there is some suspicious activity he finds, he can terminate the sessions on the go. And also all the recordings are done. All the sessions are recorded for all the users, what activity they are doing. So this actually helped us and will help us in the complying with the regulatory bodies, and also for doing the forensics if some data breach happens, because we store card data over here. The credit card information, the debit card information are stored in our database. So that's why privileged access management really helped us. This is my take, Jay.
Cool. Thanks, Deepak. Prasad, you also more or less have a lot of information of data. I mean, organization like Unacademy, wherein currently it's really after the pandemic, people have taken the value and the advantage of such kind of platforms. And with so much of information and data across, especially of the users, how kind of you create out of the mechanisms you have put in, what's the overall access management control they have been put in. Looking at it, I'm not very sure, but maybe you have a lot of cloud or the hybrid cloud environment for sure you're having it.
Yeah, thanks for that. So we are an internet-born company, as you all are aware. So we are completely on cloud. Few of them are on SaaS. The internal applications are all on SaaS-based applications, and then customer-facing is completely on the public cloud. So we have various security mechanisms. Yes, the identity and access management has been a challenge, which is still being solved. I would not say it is 100% solved. We still have a lot of loopholes to be fixed. We are still trying to identify which is the right solution to fix those loopholes in between. So if you talk about our organization, yes, we have internal stakeholders and also the public stakeholders, that is who are our learners, I would say, and also our educators. So we have different types of users, the internal stakeholders, the staff, and within the staff also we have different staff who are having access to, who needs to have access to different systems. which is internal to us, and also public facing applications also. And we have external stakeholders who are learners and educators. In that also we have different types, maybe a direct role educator or a contract based educator and consultants. There's so many type of users. So the challenge for us was to actually profiling these user bases, what are the type of user base, and this keeps changing. Okay, every role actually keeps changing day by day depending on the needs, because we are very dynamic environment that we are in, and it keeps changing. So defining the role or creating that particular profile is is still a big challenge that we are learning with the with the technology grows. And so yeah, I think the main aspect is to actually profile the right access mechanisms. And in my view, one solution will not fit everywhere. That is what I have learned over the period of time. So we have actually 2 or 3 IAM solution in between, 1 or 2 or a mixed solution for internal, or another mixed solution for the external facing applications. So I think we need to have hybrid solution here also. Hybrid kind of if I have to name some, we have Auth0, which was all only now currently acquired by Okta. So there are small example I'm trying to give. So we have multiple such solutions in place to address these kind of challenges.
Sure. Thanks, Prasad. Abhinav, I'll just come back to what you said in the beginning about this having the custom protocols for data encryption and those.
Right.
So how I understand in your kind of a volume and in the kind of industry it obviously is required, but if a kind of company organization which is really planning to move to cloud in a very not a very big bang approach, then what would be your recommendation of a strategy and approach that organization or that maybe the IT leader can take?
Right. See, like I suggested, right, if you have the liberty to kind of re-architect your applications, then have security and data encryption policies, etc. As a first-class citizen. Do not have that as an afterthought. It almost never works. If you try to retrofit these things, it almost always you'll just be catching up all the time, right? But let's assume that you do not have that luxury and you're now transitioning from more traditional setup to a cloud-based setup. Then there are organizations that provide some of these capabilities out of the box. They tend to be slightly costly because of course the kind of technology that they build is custom made for you sometimes, but they do the job really well. I would not really be in a position to recommend anybody right now, but these are very well-known organizations. Any of the cloud providers would be able to put you in touch with their representatives, and they would then be able to help you in designing your application architecture and information architecture with custom built protocols as well, if required. If you believe that you need them, then they would be able to assist you in that. Like I said, if you have your own organization, you have your own technology organization, then can help you build such capabilities. Nothing better than that. But if you do not have that luxury, there are organizations that provide such capabilities just out of the box.
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Abhinav. Prasad, I'll come back to you again with as you said, basically it's more of an internet-born company, and most of your, or rather almost everything of the infra and everything is in the cloud in part, maybe hybrid, and you mentioned about SaaS and again a private cloud environment. So when it comes to any kind of a vulnerability assessment or such kind of issues, which were more or less kind of, when it comes to traditional setup, it was the lookout of the data center guys or the IT infra head to look into it. Whereas the norm is that if it comes to a cloud or a SaaS-based solution, it's all either by the OEM or the service provider, which they take care of the all of this. But my personal view, it's more of a perception, whereas the IT leader in charge of that particular organization for this cloud infra has to take care of all the vulnerability assessment, and they need to be very cautious about those. So your take on this, especially given the fact that you are completely on cloud. Sorry, Prasad, you're on mute again.
Yeah, right. So thanks for that. So yeah, and here again, we work very closely with the Infosec office and the business team app and the product and development team also uh, to address any such issues reactively and proactively also. So proactively, what we do is, yes, we do not believe in having an in-house team of, for 24/7 monitoring and all things like that. But we have a response team internally who are kind of 24/7. And yes, most of these, things are outsourced to the OEMs or the cloud provider themselves. And yeah, so primarily, the Infosec team along with the infra team are joint responsible or joint ownership, hold the joint ownership of addressing or managing the complete vulnerability program. So we have schedules. We have scheduled continuous improvement plan in terms of patching the resources, or in terms of code reviews, the regular code reviews that happens. And we have different environment to test the codes or the applications, from all the aspects, targeting every user, whatever the application that we have, which are targeting to different set of users. So we have different testing team, not only from the applications availability perspective or the feature perspective, but from the security angle. We have a separate quality security team themselves, who's doing day-to-day security checks, trying to find and fix the any possible loopholes. So it's a we have a framework, security framework, which is actually, we are still again evolving that. It is not that the right system that we have, I don't say that, but yeah, we are getting evolved. We have a program in place. We are still trying to explore a lot of options with the security as a service providers. Also, we are evaluating that option as well. So yeah, the answer is many. That it's not a fixed one. We have a lot of things are happening in the industry. So looking forward to explore more there.
Yeah, thanks, Prasad. So I'll come to you, Deepak. As Prasad said, there's not one solution that fits all. And obviously, you also have applications which are a lot of customers facing at once. So, and how do you kind of, have you seen any major breaches or any kind of attacks? And if so, is there a mechanism you put as a VAPT or to handle those kind of scenarios?
Yeah, see, as a question, we have not seen any breaches till now in our system.
Okay.
But we are doing, as we are a payment gateway company, so we have many data, card data over there. So as per regulatory compliance, we are doing VAPT regularly. We have an in-house team also, and we have vendors also who continuously do the VAPTs for us. So you can say that vulnerability management program, we are doing it with internal teams. We have our QA teams also who regularly do the QA testing of our applications, and it is done prior to going into the production. Every code which is going to the production, we first scan the application thoroughly. If there are bugs found in the applications, we send to the developers to re-scan the bugs, fix the bugs, and then the code is transferred to the production servers. We also now we are running a big bounty program. So if any external hacker or if someone finds some bugs in our applications, they can send us the bugs, and if they are logical bugs, we also give rewards to them after fixing the bugs. So this is helping us a lot to find the bugs also in our system, which we are not able to find.
Oh, okay. I'm not very sure what's the bounty of in your big bounty program, whether the amount is really high or it's there. But I mean, that's one of a good initiative also to have people and try and do a lot of activities which can challenge the infosec of a particular area. I think that's really a good approach. I guess I read somewhere in between, but I'm not very sure if I know the exact details of it. But that's one of the really good option to it and doing that. I will, yeah. So other area which I'd like to ask is whether it's PharmEasy or Unacademy or the payment part which you are there in Deepak. So area which is very much again kind of, I won't say taken granted, but it's more of a perception wherein when it comes to DR activities or something to as a contingency planning in terms of Infosec. So a traditional company which doesn't have so much of customer facing applications, it's okay to have a sometimes a RTO, RPO, which is really high. But in companies like you, whether it's PharmEasy, whether it's Unacademy, or wherein it's majorly customer facing, downtime it's not at all, and even a disaster is production going down is not at all acceptable. So in terms of cloud infra, is there a way you have managed, or anyone can take it up the first time? Okay, how do you go about it?
Well, let me take a shot at it. That's one of the key advantages of having your self-hosted on a cloud infrastructure, because you do get the inherent, elasticity that is available within the cloud to expand and contract depending on the needs of your businesses. I'm talking about good cloud infrastructure. There are good cloud infrastructure, and there are not so good cloud infrastructure, right? So the ones which are genuinely good, they inherently take care of redundancies in their own infrastructure. And if you architect your applications in such a way that you are leveraging multiple availability zones, you are also creating regular backups in an automated fashion, not leaving to humans to carry these things out. And again, some of these things have been solved for by the new age cloud companies. They provide standard snapshotting of the data that you have on your platform. They also allow snapshotting of your compute infrastructure. The code that runs your applications and all of that also can be snapshotted if you want. So the basic nuts and bolts are available for people to exploit. And it's about investing in those things. See, at the end of the day, most of these things come as afterthoughts, right? Now there is a compliance requirement to have BCP-DR. And so people start going about building those capabilities. But these are not actually all that difficult if you put some thought while architecting those applications. And with the addition of these new cloud companies, the companies that are building these cloud capabilities, they out of the box again provide a bunch of tools and capabilities which allow you to have redundancies, so that failure in one zone, availability zone, does not affect the other, and so on and so forth. They allow for cold backups, hot backups. All of these things come out of the box. So if you genuinely want it, you can leverage some of these capabilities to build a very robust setup.
Sure. Thanks, Abhinav. Deepak, Prasad, if you can just, because it's all done in different sectors, or I could say different domains. Prasad, you want to go for it?
To rephrase the question, I mean.
So basically, though you have been completely born in cloud, and since you have a lot of customer facing applications as well, while you have internal applications, and Unacademy as an organization cannot afford to either have a downtime or a big attack wherein the production is down. So while a lot of these cloud players, and Abhinav said that you have got both good players as well as bad players, will provide with all the snapshot and the DR. Is there a strategy you have taken, or is there a kind of a risk mitigation you have taken when it comes to DR and business planning?
Well, we are in the process of taking. Yes, ours is a very critical infrastructure now, because like healthcare, education is also now, and since we are moving in different geographies also, there is a plan. So it becomes very important for us to have the application availability 24/7 around the clock. So we are going to have, or we are building a strategy to have our application in different geographies with multiple cloud service providers. But at the moment, we are still in the evaluation stage. But we do understand, yes, as you host your infrastructure in different cloud or different cloud service providers, there are different challenges that you may face because each cloud service provider is different in in a lot of things. AWS is not like Azure, and they cannot be the same, right? So yeah, we do understand that challenge. So we are now in the evaluation stage, still on that, Jay.
Sure. Thank you, sir. Deepak, your take, because yours is also very, I understand maybe there could be some regulatory requirements also in case of payment gateways, but still it's any recommendation or strategy you have approached for this?
Yeah, I see. Definitely, I agree with Prasad that every cloud provider has different applications running, different strategies, different protocol. So we are also facing same issues while getting a DR thing, but we are in a process. I can say that somehow we are getting in a process to get a DR implemented, and by this month end, our DR will be live. We are facing many challenges, but by this month end, it will be resolved and the DR will be live. It will be active only.
Oh, sure. That's okay. The last, sorry, the another question when you said it's there a DR active live is also one point which I though it's which Prasad also touched upon, Abhinav you also mentioned, Deepak is mentioned, is we all normally deal with multiple or different cloud service providers and those. And one of the issue which I have seen, practically seen, in which also Abhinav touched in the beginning, is if any migration of any applications or a lot of applications when you move it from one cloud service provider to another cloud service provider, whatever could be the reasons, it could be financial reason, it could be technical reasons or some other reasons. And this in transit and this migration could be a challenge, and there is a lot of security kind of a risk is there. So Abhinav, you want to take it at first, or how have you managed that, or if you have got something and any recommendations or best practices around it?
I think, see, again, it comes down to how you architect the applications. Fundamentally, as such, the cloud providers do not prohibit you or stop you from having a secure transition. There is no inherent problem there. But sometimes people start assuming things. I think important thing is to understand that the moment any communication happens over internet, it is vulnerable. And so you need to be doubly, triply sure that the communication between, let's say, two cloud providers. So let's say you are on cloud provider A today and you are planning to move to cloud provider B. Both are on the internet. And if you've not actually built a secure pipe between these two, again, those are all possibilities, practical things that can be accomplished with the help of your account managers on both the cloud provider side. They'll help you in setting up secure tunnels between your cloud infrastructure. Let's say if you've not done that, then you might just assume that people may not snoop in as you start conversations between provider A and provider B over the internet. Fundamental thing here is that you need to always suspect that if you are going outside your network, which will be the case if, let's say, a network packet leaves cloud provider A and goes toward cloud provider B, somebody will be there to snoop on it. You have to almost always believe that, and accordingly, build protocols. As I said, most of these things are sorted now. It's not all that difficult. Yes, each cloud provider has its own idiosyncrasies. They have their own way of working. They are all providing you compute, storage, networking, etc. But they have their own ways of doing that. So as long as you understand them well and assume that any packet traveling from provider A to provider B can practically be snooped in by someone else, and accordingly you are building wrappers around it, secure tunnels, peering between the two providers to have encrypted traffic exchange and stuff like that, I think it'd be okay. But just assuming that nobody will come and snoop, I think would be generally disastrous, is what I would recommend.
Sure. Deepak? if you have done any migrations, is as Abhinav rightly pointed out. But my analogy is normally is if I want to compare is if I'm moving from one cloud service provider to another, especially if it's because of technical and maybe the finance reasons, it's like an employee who is on a notice period, who is in a mix of either that, so not very keen to support a lot. So that's why I've been a couple of my experience as there. So something which you have done or you have got experience like that.
Vijay, we are not done a transfer from one cloud to another, because when we moved from a data center to a cloud, we fixed one cloud only and we did all the migrations. And the migration was done on our own with our own team. There was no vendor involved. We only did all the security testings, all the things were done. And now when we are building a DR also, we are doing it on our own, and we are establish a VPN connection, a VPN tunnel between the two clouds, and we are doing the database backups over there currently, and we are monitoring it. So there is no vendor involved, and like Abhinav also said, we can be hacked, but due to a VPN tunnel in between and due to the PAM services, we think we are safe right now. There is no scooping or the data is not leaked.
Sure. Sure. So I guess we have got a question from the audience, and it's not anyway directed to one person, but anyone can take it up. So it's an open question, which anyone or maybe all three of you can give this one. So the question is, how to make sure that your organization is in sync with the upcoming or the advanced technologies? I mean, why we talk about a lot of advanced technologies, so that's really a very apt question. And it's more to do with the security, the cloud infra and those. So it's open question, either I can have three views from all of you or anyone can take it up, I'm fine. So it's basically to organization is in sync with the upcoming technologies. How do we, what's the practices and how do you make sure that it is aligned?
I'll quickly share my point of view. See, the way we have tried to do that is by actually having dedicated teams that focus on this area. I mean, their job day in, day out is to actually look at infrastructure, which is basically compute, storage, etc., networking, and so on, and then information security. So there are dedicated teams. I'm not talking about like big teams of 40 people, 50 people, right? These are small teams, highly motivated people, domain experts, people who've had prior experience in building capabilities, and they are constantly, on the lookout for new technologies that can help us build a more efficient, robust, and secure infrastructure. Now, this is almost always a race. If you look at the last, again, decade, 2 decades, almost every year, a bunch of new technologies come up, right? I'm quoting old numbers here, but if you look at AWS, for instance, right? AWS in the year 2016 and 17, they were releasing 1,000 major features a year, which if you kind of put in numbers, it's like 3 major features a day. There's honestly, there's no race to this. You should do what you are comfortable with. It's not like the technologies that existed in the late 90s or early 2000s. They are not secure or they are not good. When done right, even those technologies can really stand the test of time, genuinely. But at the same time, if you are really interested in keeping pace with the changing times, then have a dedicated team that is almost always on the lookout for new technologies, stable technologies. It's important because a lot of innovation is happening, which is great, but you don't want to be the guinea pig. You don't want to be the first person to be adopting those technologies and then find yourself in a tight spot at a later point in time. So proven technologies, stable versions with some validation in the market, and a community that supports that kind of technology, an open community, not just the company, but an open community, vibrant community which exchanges ideas and stuff like that. Those would be your candidate technologies. I would suggest that you try them out, do a small POC in a non-critical application area. And when you are comfortable, when you have internal expertise to deal with the technology, because each technology comes with its own set of tricks and quirks. So it's important that you understand that and then you proliferate that in the rest of the organization. That's at least how we have managed.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Abhinav. I mean, I would also recommend your kind of a comment wherein go with the POC or a MVP kind of first approach with this advanced technologies, and as you feel it's and at the same time have a security posture in plan. If it scales up, then how do you take it up, and then you can really put it the framework in what the way Prasad mentioned about having a framework in place. You can take it accordingly once you scale it up. So I guess we are running out of time. So I would just like to end and close it saying that, okay, yeah, it has been really a wonderful panelist from different domains. That has been the best part of it. And we covered a broad range, whether it was data encryption or identity management, access controls, or VAPT, as well as the overall cloud security infrastructure. And gathering the insights from all of you, I am inclined and observe and some of the learnings for me as well is the cloud security and the cloud infrastructure shouldn't be a reactive approach. It should always be a proactive approach, wherein when you're planning, you plan from the start along with the rest of the overall infra and other thing, so that you don't go and do it at the fag end of that. Rather, you take it from the beginning. So that's one of the learning which is there. Second is there is not one solution which is gonna be fit for all. There could be different solution for different kind of industries, different kind of applications, different kind of environments. So that's one thing. There is not a complete fail-proof kind of a solution. You need to keep on iterating on this. You need to keep on learning on this and try to put in mechanisms, whether it could be through OEMs or internal resource or combining of all of this hybrid environment. And collectively, and as I think Deepak also mentioned and Prasad and Abhinav also mentioned, that there is a separate team, all team together can approach this. It's not just a Infosec team which can take it up, but it's a mix of infra, Infosec, as well as applications and the business team, which you can build in that kind of a robust, secured infrastructure. With this, I would like to just end the note and thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot for your time. Thanks, Prasad, Abhinav, Deepak. Thanks a lot. Raket.
Thank you, everyone. It's been a good session.